Are all members from side opposition have they joined in?
Yes, all of us are here.
All right, great. Hello, everybody. I think also all the panelists are also here, right? Osi, can you please confirm? All right. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Novice Finals of Parlance 2023. Congratulations to the teams for making it to the Novice Finals. I am Nilanjan and I will be your chair for this round. My preferred gender pronouncer he and him, but please try to refer to the panel as a whole. Along with me, we will have Aryan, Rai, Shmiti, and Vishes as my fellow adjudicators. Would my fellow adjudicators like to introduce themselves?
Hi everybody, I am Rai Mukhopadhyay. So all the best to everybody to making it to the novice finals of Parlance 2023. I'm also a CAP member, so this tournament was very close to my heart.
Hey, my name is Vishesh, no gender preferred pronouns. All the best, guys, for the Novice Finals. Congratulations to all of you for making it till this far. Very all the best.
Hi, my name is Smriti. All the best for the rounds.
Hello, my name is Aryan. I'll be the panelist. Good luck.
Great. So we will be debating on motion number one. All the best to all the teams. Prime Minister, whenever you're ready, here. Also, will the OC be sharing the timer?
Yes.
All right, great.
So is my screen visible?
Yes, it is to me. Requesting the Prime Minister to take the floor whenever they're ready. Here.
I'll take 30 seconds.
All right.
Hello, I'm Sparsh and I will be the PM for this debate. My preferred pronouns are he and him. POI I prefer after 5th minutes by raise of hand, and uh, I'll start. Just confirm if I'm audible and the background voice it does not is not like you are. I'm perfectly audible and it does not affect you. The background voice. Just confirm, please.
You're perfectly audible to me.
Sure. So great. I'll start with self count of three, two, one. Panel, let's first see the what is the current situation of all the relationships in the world. Uh, Please start the timer. Like, hello,
OC?
is there an internet issue from OC side?
Is anybody from OC over here?
I think he has lost connection or something.
Should I share my screen for the timer if that works with everybody?
That will be great. Thank you so much.
Is my screen perfectly visible to everybody?
It is.
Okay, cool.
It
Just
is.
speakers, just give me a countdown before you start your speech. Okay.
Okay, I'll start in 3, 2, 1. But let's firstly let me first characterize relationships in there. Relationships can be between two romantic partners. It can be of any form, right? Okay, so these relationships, like if you take the for example, if you take a case of a romantic relation, what happens is what does it depend on why there are breakups. A relationship breaks up when there's a lack of empathy, right? Because there's a lack of understanding of each other's emotion, lack of empathy. Second thing, the so and second thing, about parent and children relations. The parent and children relations, for example, parents need to understand what their child is thinking about, and what so that they could understand their emotions, and they could just because the child is not mature enough to express his emotions, express emotion properly, this machine gives them an idea about gives the parents what an idea about idea about what kind of emotions it is going from. Now let's come to the situation of mental health. How the mental health scenario in today's world look like. In today's mental health scenario, there are large number of suicides happening. There is a large number of like mental health issues happening, and these do not come out these do not come out until and unless it becomes extremely intense, or it becomes or there's a or there's a it's a kind of there's kind of mishap like suicide into it, right? So who are the stakeholders of the debate? The stakeholders of debate are the people who use the machine, and on all the people who use the machine, and the people who on whom like whom's the database they are accessing to, whose current emotion they are accessing to. Right now, let's come again on the mental health, right? There's a large number of suicide happening. There's a large without information and reason, and the mental why there's a lack of information. There's a lack of information why someone does not go for help, or does not understand that understand that what kind of feelings when there is a mental health problem, and when is not, because you actually do not have an idea of gravity of emotions you are feeling, because you do not have an exact idea, because there's no objective parameter for emotions, right? There's lack of an objective parameter emotion, so it does not so you do not understand what you do not have an idea when the emotions you're feeling are so intense that it and so intense and continuous that it is a form of depression, or there's just a normal sadness, right? So what would happen? Let me first give you the mechanization. What we bring to you we bring to you the machine which can help you assess emotions, emotions of people, emotion the current the only the and the current emotion of the people, and no record of it, and how does we mechanize it? There would be an ID which is unique to people, because their names are common. Two people can have the same name, but that ID would be unique. From the birth of the child, that ID would be given to the parents, and after the 18 years of age, it would be given to the person, and the person can share with the people he or she wants, right? It would be more or less like a Aadhaar card number, which cannot be changed, and will be shared, and would be shared will be shared on the will of the person whose ID who owns that ID, right? So how like continue to mental health. So there's always a need for in any mental health issue. There's a need for support for the person who is suffering from such issues, and the person does not realize this, because of the reason, because they do not have any objective parameter of emotion for as I've given my mechanism, I'll explain what changes the this usage of this machine brings. This when we use this machine, what happens is, whenever someone is feeling we give you an exclusive we go this machine becomes exclusively useful in case of intense emotions. For example, whenever a person, let's take an example, whenever a person is suffering from intense emotion, like continuous intense emotion, for example, happiness, sadness, which is the symptom of bipolar disorder. What happens is, it the the parents who have who have the it's who have the idea of the person, and the friends, and other person who from whom you have shared with such ID, and the people whom you have shared sub ID, in case you suffer from such intense emotions, if you in case you suffer from any mental issues. Yeah, yes, PI, please.
What if that person does not want to convey his emotions? Isn't that just blatantly violating privacy?
The thing is that what I'm coming to the point. I'll be coming to the point soon. The thing is, let me just complete that what happens is when you uh, the thing is, when these emotions are, when a person is suffering from intense emotions, and having mental problems, and we can figure out symptoms for which kind of emotion nature is predicts which kind of mental health problem, and through which the parents and the well wishers, it's his or her beneficiaries, can get this information, and coming to the point that what if the person does not want. The thing is that the person there's often a person, why it is necessary to for his well wishers to know such kind of information, even if the person does not want at that moment. This is because the person who is sharing is suffering from intense emotion, and does not have the rationality at that moment, in case it does not have the rationality at the moment to judge what is correct and what is wrong. A person for example, if I feel depression, there may be chance that I am so ashamed of it. There are chances that some people are so ashamed of it that they do not want to share this to anyone, but there is a genuine need for help, and we cannot compromise for this for his irrationality, because he's not in a correct mental state at that moment. So we give you exclusive gains in our paradigm, because we give exclusive gains because there's a overall global wellness, because everyone is susceptible to mental health problems. It is just like physical health problems. Here I rest my speech. My following speakers will continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that fine speech. Please note that anything said after 7 minutes 20 seconds won't be taken into account. Requesting the leader of opposition to take the floor whenever they're ready. Here.
Hi everyone, I am the leader of opposition and my POI preferences would be via chat after the 5th minute. With a countdown of 20 seconds, I would like to begin.
Also, just a little clarification. Someone from the OC has just written the text that they would like to share the screen because the person who is doing so now is facing network issues. So, can we have that changed, please?
Sure, if the
So,
OC wants to do it. Yeah,
okay,
please.
so I am like the panelist. So if that works, if you want the screen share to be from the OC only, if that works. Otherwise, I'm the panelist on this.
It is visible.
requesting the leader of opposition to take the floor whenever they're ready.
I am unable to see the screen if it is shared.
I can see the screen. Can you please try to leave and join back if it's.
Right, just a second. Okay, I can see it now. All right, with a countdown of three, two, one. All right, panel, let us firstly try to understand what the government PM has just tried to tell us. They have told us that the kind of information that is required for a person to access their emotional information is going to be through some sort of an Aadhaar card or something of that sort. They compare it to, which again, as the motion states, that anyone can access such information on the basis of their name or ID. Therefore, their policy stands baseless. I would like to point it out to the government that humans in itself are a complex ball of emotions. What we are basically what makes us human is the fact that we are able to feel. And if we are right, what makes us human is the fact that we are able to feel. And if our feelings could have and if our feelings are simply are objectively put into a scale, uh, that takes away the complexity of emotions, which again is what makes us human. When I'm talking about the complexity of emotions, I want to bring out the fact that as a human, we tend to feel a surge of feelings, right? We may feel happy, fearful, sad, angry, and all of these happen at times that we do not really predict. We might feel a certain emotion at a certain time wherein it will not be valid. There are people who feel happy in a situation that is ideally considered sad, or vice versa. This is simply because as humans, we are very complex to understand, and we do not the human psychology it's based on the fact that to understand the kind of human, to understand how we are feeling, to understand our emotions requires a very in-depth understanding of a lot of situations surrounding the upbringing of a human, which again hence proves the kind of complexity that the complexity of emotions that a human returns home from office after a stressful day at work. And if the particular man's family is able to judge the kind of emotion that he is feeling at the moment, which is stress, even though the father is trying to put on a facade of the fact that he is happy simply because he wants to make his family happy, he wants to give them the required amount of time and attentions to strengthen their relations. Again, what we're trying to understand here is by using their device, we will understand that he's feeling stressful, which is again going to make it is going to have a negative impact on the kind of relation that the family is sharing, because an immediate reaction from the family member could be of the fact that they understand that the person is feeling stressful, and thus what they are putting up is fake. Which again, as we know and as I have mentioned, humans tend to feel certain emotions, but we also go out of our way to do things because we want to make the other person happy, because emotions are such a complex subject wherein we do not really um, understand why we are feeling a certain way at a certain time or instance. Let us understand that the government's case only revolves around people who are struggling with mental health. We need to understand that the stakeholder in this particular motion comprises the entire world, each and every single human in the world, because their device is coming up with their device is basically a device that can judge the emotions of anyone and everyone just using their name or ID. Let us talk about the fact that such a device no let us talk about the fact that how we feel and what we feel is our right. Humans have the right to feel, which is the only right that is intrinsic to us from the moment that we are born. And when such a right is taken away from us by the development of such machines and devices, then what is left of us as humans? We need to understand that we do not always want to tell the other person how we are feeling, what we are feeling, simply because there may be reasons behind it that we do not want the other person to know. But if such a device is able to gauge the kind of emotion that a particular person is feeling at that instant, it is going to impact their relationship, which is again what the government talked about. That the government brought up the fact that it is going to help the parent understand their child better. They mentioned that it is going to help them understand how their child is thinking, which is again wrong, because they are only going to be able to understand how their child is feeling. Again, another point that the government brought up was the fact that they are going to maintain the privacy of the particular child up until the age of 18. After 18, they are going to give out the whoever with their friends or family. But again, does this mean that person's, a human's right to feel and right to feel the emotions as per however they wish to is something that is limited to the age of 18, after which anyone and everyone can have access to such kind of information? So, moving on, I would like to point out the fact that there are certain things that we as humans do in order to hide what we are feeling. Right? A woman at night, when she is walking on the streets, she's again going to suppress her fear and put on a brave facade, which another man who is with any person who is having some form of ill intentions toward the woman might use to their advantage if they have such a device in order to attack them. This does not only apply to women, but this applies to almost it applies to all the situations wherein any person can utilize such a thing for propagating any form of ill intention or ill intention toward a particular person. Going back to the fact that right, so as I mentioned, there are certain things in this world that we as humans are able to do so, that this makes us differentiated from the rest of our species, right? We as humans are able to feel emotions that we do not want to convey to someone, that we do not want to convey to the that we do not want to convey to another person, right? There's a certain reason why we do not tell everyone everything, because a we know no one's we know everyone is not going to understand everything, and b we understand that there is a certain amount of everyone is trying to understand themselves, right, at the end of the day. And understanding our emotions is a big part of understanding our emotions is a big part of how we feel. So again, I would like to put forward the constructives that are going to be brought upon by my DLO, which are going to focus on the fact of privacy, as well as the precision, as well as productivity. With that, I would like to end my speech. Very proud to oppose.
Thank you for that fine speech. We always encourage asking and taking more POIs, requesting the Deputy Prime Minister to take the floor whenever they're ready. Here.
I'll be taking 30 seconds.
Okay.
Good morning, good evening, panel. I am Sarah, going as the DPM. Preferred mode of POI after the fourth minute with the raise of hand. Please do not mobilize your POI. Whenever I get the time through the feed, I'll take it. Starting my speech in the self count of 3, 2, 1. So I'll start structuring my speech in this way. First, I'll come and tell you the rebuttals of the opponent, so what the op is put to us, and then I'll be explaining the constructives which were pushed out by the PM. Coming on to for the basic identity of their taking our case on the wrong side. What I meant was what we meant as what the PM meant was that at the age of 18, before that, the rights of this ID would remain with the parents. But after this 18, that child would have rights to share this um, ID with all the people he wished to. Because it's a very general concept that at the age of 18 is where all these adult rights are given, because that's the point where the child gets its maturity. Coming on to the second basic problem is when they come and tell us that with the example of the father, that's what we are pushing on the side, right? That's every person in a family has equal right to be happy. He does not have to put up a brave face to go ahead and just live in the family. He can also, for example, if that mother comes to know that father is stressed, he also has the right to share his feelings. That what happens if he just keep on putting up the brave mask? There is a point where he may not be able to take all that feelings alone. He will not be able to handle that all that self alone, and would lead to frustration, and which leads to the toxicity in the relationship in general and family, which I'll come to on later in the part. First of all, the made there was no as such constructives which were pushed forward in the DM in the LO speech. These constructive came at the very end after the 720 seconds of privacy, precision, productivity. I cannot engage upon that at this point of stage because there was not enough analysis for me to understand what they are putting up. The major constructive that comes up on one of the major point that comes up in the their side of debate is the complexity of the emotion. Please understand this what this machine is doing. This machine is saying that what I'm feeling at this correct moment. They were not asking what I'll feel after 1 second, before 1 second. What does this do is what the cases hold push upon is that when this scale is objective and when people want to know that your current feeling only, which has to be one thing at one particular time, though due changing, but at one single point there would be clarity in this emotional scale and what this value looks like. And moving on to the major part, this put that right to have their own feeling. So this is a very principlistic idea that one should have the right to their own feeling. They have to tell me why this right of this feeling is more important than whatever constructive we are pushing forward to. This should explicitly expecting from the coming speeches. So I would push the button to tell me why this right to have my own feeling private important at the cost of my well-being, at the cost of my relationship's well-being. Now coming on to our major constructive and further analysis and impacting on them. First constructive that we bring to you are the healthy relationships and healthy individuals in that relationship. Please understand why these relationships are important and how these relationships work. These relationships are important because that's how we need someone to share our feelings with. The major constructive of this relationship is that we have someone with us who understands us, who are we comfortable with. Now what happens is when this concept of in this busy day of the world, whether everyone is busy with their own social life, they go run, what happens, I tendency to think more about the other person. I tend to hide my own feelings, even it comes at a higher cost of me getting neglected in that relationship. It comes to the cost of my partner not knowing what I am feeling, or my parents or my friend, anyone. And this is not a thing which is a fault on both the sides. No, for example, I take A and B in some sort of relationship, which can be any, not. Now, when A is feeling something and he does not tell it to the person B, there's no problem in both the person itself, because A is also thinking then why I should burden B with my own issues, and there are chances, and even B cannot help the person because of not knowing what is going on in his head. So in that case of scenario, this machine helps you a lot of person to know how the other person is feeling. This leads to maybe certain decision which taken. Person A let it go because he feel the other person will be hurted. But when it comes to the feelings are intact, at least it can push the person and the conversation to talk about what's the cause of it. We understand this machine does not give us the cause of the sadness, but at least it initiate the conversation if this sadness or happiness, why it is, what this fear is all about. Now moving on to other point, when this misunderstandings are clear, when this conversation is initiated, this conversation holds a very important part to clear misunderstanding. This reasoning is very important, and which leads to a healthier relationship. What happens in reality? How does a healthier relationship impact the person at the end? This relationship healthier. Any person does not feel neglected in the relationship. They do not feel that they are being at the lower end, or they for the other person they are giving a lot of things. They feel content in this relationship at the end of the day. Moving on to the point of the mental health, when they say that our case is very constructive to the people of facing mental health, please understand, panel, this whole world, I agree, would not be prone to mental health disorders, but this whole world is prone to the feelings of negative feelings, such as sadness, such as fear. And this, so believe this negative feeling of sadness and fear should be shared with someone. But as I pointed, as in fast, busy world, we tend to do not share the feelings because we think that other person might be troubled with us. We do not want to trouble that other person, and sometimes even that person in front of us does not even take that burden of us feeling that much. He does not take our feelings as a problem to him, which is hindering him, but a natural cause of a human nature to think that he's in trouble or I will look weak in front of him. This sadness, the general notion in the world that sadness makes you feel weak, is just the reason why the person does not share his feeling at the first place. Now, what happens when he does not share his feeling at the first place? Because the feeling of sadness and negativity should be shared with something because there's always a cause behind it. When this feeling comes in, then only the concept of cause comes behind it. And when this cause is discussed, then only the solution of the problem comes in. There's no way a person can handle all the solutions and problems in his life at the single hand. He, at some point of time, would need some support. This support, and that's why the whole point of emotional support stands in this life, and it's considered important because me as a person cannot take all the sadness of the world at the point of time. So, which leads to, and now coming to the severity of it, to the which is sadness at a pretty severe state at a pretty long time, which is a mental health issue which I'll try to push. Now, taking in examples of suicide. Now, what happens if I, as a person, A, even being a stranger, if I know that this person is sad for prolonged long time, there's a very less tendency, there's a very huge tendency that I'll go and reach out to that person. Why are you feeling so sad for the so long of time? What's the problem behind it? What happens when once the suicide and all this stuff goes through? Because this person bottle up all the feelings, he does not come out and show this feeling to another person, and hence this leads to the point that we cannot share. So this in general would lead to less and even it will push the parents, if they come to know what the child is feeling, or even a friend knows, they can push the person and can convince the person to take the mental take a health, take a therapy or something which will help him come out of this problem. And people are not able to most probably convey their feeling because of the complexity of it, which is ever changing, and hence this machine helps them to do so. Thank you.
Thank you for that fine speech. Requesting the Deputy Leader of Opposition to take the floor whenever they're ready. Here.
Right. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Now let's understand on the side of the government, their burden to you was to give you a proper policy framework as to how this is going to work. They come and say that we're going to launch this particular ID, first of which all of this will not stand because the context slide tells us that you can use either name or ID. Understand that name of any individual, I might know the name of any random individual who I don't know personally, which puts this machine at a risk of misuse, because any person just knowing the name of any other individual can go on and simply access that person, what that person is feeling at that particular period of time, right? Even if we go with their example wherein only this ID will be used, understand in that case also there exists a very high risk of hacking, right? Anyone who wants to misuse information will any day resort to hacking, and we know how prevalent that is today. So in either case, firstly, their entire mechanism that they have proposed is illogical. Secondly, even if that does stand, hacking exists as a very major factor because of which this information, this emotion can be misused, right? Now we cover the point of privacy, right? When we talk about privacy, understand that humans are born with the inherent right to feel as they want to, right? Humans go on and on thinking about what they want to, and a lot of times you do not want to share it with the other person just because you want to avoid, say, confrontation. That is your personal right as a human, and this machine is violating that. Understand that when you're accessing, say, the emotions of the other person, it is, say, not always going to be used in the positive sense which the government feels it will, to say better relationships. And also understand that relationships are not the only thing that, say, an individual's life revolves around. What is more important in an individual's life is his individual freedom, is his, say, consent, is his will to be as he wants to, which is being violated here, right? Understand that individuals anyway, when they speak or they express their feelings, they feel that they are at a risk of, say, being misunderstood by the other person, or say or at a risk of, say, the other person not understanding their feelings. Here what is, and the only, say, the major thing that humans have is to feel what they want to, because they have this backing that whatever they're feeling, at least that someone else will not be, say, prone to knowing, which is why they are safe when they are feeling a certain way, which is being violated here, which is why humans now understand yourself in the shoes of a person who knows that this technology exists around. Now, every time you feel something, you are feeling this with the pressure that anyone else around you who wants to misuse what you're feeling will be able to do so, right? So every time you're feeling now, you also have a pressure on yourself. So that example about how a father will be a certain way, etc., etc. Now understand that the father knows that others will also be able to know how he's feeling, which is why he will not even, say, ideally want to feel how he wants to, right? So as a human, you not being able to, say, do whatever you're wanting to, not being able to feel the way you want to, right? Next, understand that this is always going to lead to, say, misunderstandings and confusions, right? They talk about here, I'm also rebutting the major points of relationships and how, say, if you say, if two people A and B have had a fight with each other, understand that A feels like B might be absolutely upset, right, because of the fight that they had. Checks whether how B is feeling at that current moment. Understand that B might be feeling sad, but he might be feeling sad because of, say, the fact that he scored a 0 in his test the previous morning, and A might not be knowing that. But what A is seeing, that B is sad, right? And B might not be sad about the fight that they have had. Even so, what is happening here is A is feeling like he's sad. Oh, he's sad because of this fight, but B is not actually sad because of that. So this is leading to a state of, say, misunderstanding or unnecessary confrontation when there is actually no room for it. If individuals actually want to, say, get things sorted out, they will talk amongst themselves, right? Why do individuals have that right, or why do they have that freedom to choose when they want to talk or when they do not want to talk? Because it is one of their basic rights, right? And they should have this right, and understand that accessing someone's feelings is just basically violating that right. It can also lead to a lot of misunderstanding, miscommunication, which is our major constructive, right? Now, coming back to my next constructive about productivity. Understand that what is going to happen. You have, say, games, competitions all around the world happening, right? How are people going to misuse this, right? Understand that any day, in any case, whenever you're talking about, say, even this debate that is taking place, just before this debate, we could have easily, say, tried to see what the side on opposition is, say, feeling, right? And if they're feeling absolutely stressed, we know how to go about, say, we know how to go about that debate. We know how to approach that debate. Right? Similarly, imagine yourself in an Olympic game, wherein people are just, instead of focusing on, say, how they're going to run, they're going and checking, oh, how this opponent is feeling, this opponent is feeling. So what they're doing is basically using this game or these tools to leverage themselves in the competition instead of actually relying on their skill, right? This is firstly absolutely, principally, absolutely morally wrong, because you're breaching that person's privacy. Second, it takes away your focus from the actual art, right? And understand this is a vicious cycle. If you are going and searching that person's emotions, that other person is also going to be doing the same thing with you. This goes on and never ends, right? Next, we talk about misuse. Understand that this sort of machine can be misused in crimes, right? When it comes to, my first speaker gave an example about those women, right? Understand that if you are in the shoes of, say, a burglar who is wanting to enter into a rich house, right? You want to go there and steal everything that they have in their house, right? What you're going to do is that if you simply go and see their state of mind, if you just see they're sad or they're stressed or they are tensed, you know you have an upper hand. You know this is the perfect time to attack them, right? Understand that the people in the house will not be able to do so because they don't even know that there is some burglar who is wanting to attack them. So how do they even go and check his emotions, right? So they are not in the space to do so, but the burglar is in a space to do so, which is why he will, say, use this for crime. Coming to the major point of privacy, understand how privacy is absolutely important, because again, if your privacy is being violated in this case, it has a psychological impact on you, right? You know, all your emotions are being monitored, right? Again, understand that your consent is being violated, because again, you do not want your emotions to be accessible or monitored by everyone in the world, but you do not have the right in this case, right? So again, your identity as an individual, your identity to feel as you wanted to, right? Why does consent exist? Because you need to ask that person whether that person is comfortable if you're doing something related to that person. Here, you're not asking anyone before doing anything else, right? Understand that in their best case also, they're just focusing on how this will lead to a reduction in suicides. My example of misunderstanding also exists in that case, right? Someone could be sad for, say, a a petty reason, right? But because of that petty reason, he's sad on a scale of 9, not because he wants to suicide. So how do you get to know that in this case? right? Also understand that when you're talking about things like suicide, you are they're saying that you can use this for suicide because you do not know if any person wants to commit suicide. So do you just randomly go about checking if, say, every person in the world wants to commit suicide or not? You can't just go randomly checking about that till you don't have a hint. And if you have a hint, it will be absolutely easy for you to track that person in real life, live. So you do not need that machine in any case. So this does not stand in that case as well, which is why we feel we clearly take this debate.
Thank you for that great speech. Requesting the government whip whenever they're ready. Hear you.
I'll just be taking 30 more seconds. Thank you.
Sure.
So, hello everyone. Am I audible? Is the volume all right?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, my name is Archit Pals. I will be going as the government whip for the finals. Preferred pronouns are he and him. No tap references. POI, I'd love to take a POI after my fifth minute has elapsed. And with the formalities out of the way, I'll be beginning my speech on 3, 2, See, panel, what is the actual metric of the debate is how would the society, the users of the machine, and the people who the machine is being used on would be better, right? So, in the government's paradigm, we tell you the first major clash that we have been arguing about, debating about, is whether or not the point of privacy exists, whether or not this idea would be public, or how this publicity of this ID would affect the people. I'll come to the point of the standing of the privacy part later. But uh, again, continuing from the governance part, we are telling you, we from the first two speeches have been telling you that there are many negative feelings that the people in the world hold right now, and which is constantly hurting these people. Everyone knows that bad feelings are not good for you. These bad feelings need to be expressed with your close ones, with the people who actually care about you. It has been uncontested throughout the debate, and I'll be thus taking it to be true that when you share your feelings with someone, when you share your if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling stressed, if you share your feelings with someone that is close to you, those feelings tend to reduce. It has been like it is the general perceived notion in the world, and right now, also I'll be taking it as true for the benefit of the debate. So how and in this case when your family and you are not willing to tell your family or your, like, for example, parents, that you are feeling stressed about your exam or you're sad about getting, for example, an F on your paper, it would clearly help those parents and their close ones to initiate a conversation, just like my DPM said, right? And these conversations help you mediate through this feeling, get through these feelings. We need these feelings to die out among the society. We need the people to flourish. We need the people to be happy. How can they be happy when they get rid of these negative emotions? How will they get rid of these negative emotions? By talking about these things, because the fact that the past happened. But what we need to do right now, we need to mitigate. We need to go through these feelings. We need to tackle these feelings. How everyone is not able to tackle their own feelings by themselves, as like DPM and DPM clearly told you that sometimes need a helping hand to cope with those emotions of sadness or stress. For example, they opposition gave us a wonderful example about how a father is stressed and is not as will not be willing to show the stress to the family because the family might be worried. But the point is the family is there to be there for his or her to be for the fathers in this case emotional support. This emotional support comes from the fact that being the emotion is being accessible by the mother of the family, for example, or any other person, and thus the parent and thus the father would be able to channel those, and thus the father would inevitably share those feelings, and thus be will be able to better off. Like I clearly told you that feelings, sharing of the feeling, tend to suppress these bad emotions. And coming to the privacy part again, we clearly tell you that the ID would be not public and only the parents would have it until the child turns 18. See, this is why is it important and why the name part does not stand. My PM and DPM clearly told you that a person might have this, many people in the world have the same name. So practically impossible. It is practically impossible to find a person by their name alone, and thus would not be practically possible. We gave you the idea of the ID. We gave you the concept of the ID so that it becomes a clearer and more private. And you are only the feelings that you are feeling is only accessible to the person who you trust, the person who are your well wishers, and thus the privacy part does not stand. Even if we take the best case of the opposition, that the privacy case does not exist, and that is the whole case of the opposition. What they tell you is that the information ID part does not stand because in the current explosion it gives you the option of a full name, etc. See, it is our PR as the government to decide whether or not the ID of the full name will be used. Even if we say that the context it says that only full name, for example, even in the best case, only the full name is being used and somehow a person's feeling is being accessible. The opposition needs to tell me why that information, why that feeling of why the privacy of those feelings is important as compared to uh, the metric that the person would harm him or herself. In this case, in the general case, people in this world, in the current scenario, the feelings of stress and sadness have become very large, and people tend to consolidate them. And why do they consolidate them? Because they think that they're troubling their loved ones, they're troubling their well wishers. Well, you're not actually troubling yourself. There is a very clear general notion in the current world scenario as well that if you share your feelings with your loved ones, with the people who care about you, it is not going to trouble them. You are going to the person is going to help you mitigate you through those feelings, and hence you will be able to get out of these feelings and we'll be better off. Yes, I'll take the POI.
If someone wants to misuse our information, even if we omit that information, will you do in that case?
See, the hacking of the ID is clearly out of this debate. I don't want to even engage in this part because we are considering the machine to be absolute. And yeah, on the other point, even if you bite the bullet that there will be hacking and somehow you will be able to know my feelings, even if I'm nervous, that does not change whether or not I was nervous in the first place. The other person knows that I'm nervous. You tell me that would be advantages for them. I don't clearly get why it would be advantageous for them. In you take the example of this debate, I know I'm stressed. I know you would be stressed because this is the finals. I know I'm there in the Olympics. I am tired. I am also nervous. The other person would also be tired and nervous. This is not a clear. Your example will not clear, and even if the feelings were channeled to someone you don't want to know, you can't really change. You can't really change the outcome of anything if Hmm. Even if the other person, the bad person, knows your feelings, your actions are going to be the same. Your actions are going to be symmetric in either of the case that the person knows your emotions. If the person is going to fight back, he or she is going to fight back regardless of regardless of the burglar knowing his or her emotions. Not you talk about the productivity again. The productivity for the examples you used were like really symmetric that no one is going it is not going to change anything in the practicality, and thus why we win this debate is because we show you exclusive harm, we show you exclusive benefits of our of the mental health being better in our case, and the opposition fails to provide us with the importance of why this privacy is important at the cost of the person's well-being. With that, very proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you for that great speech. Requesting the the opposition whip whenever they're ready. Here.
Hi everyone, I'm Raima. I'll be taking a POI after my 5th minute via chat only, please. And I'll start on a countdown of 3, 2, 1. Right, panel, let's understand what the debate has boiled down to so far, right? We understand that even in the best case of side government, they're not able to prove how changing status quo is actually going to be beneficial, right? They want to implement the use of a machine, but they fail to mechanize for us, or even and do their only or fulfill their only burden in this debate is to give us a proper policy of how you're going to do it. They fail on various fronts, right? Which Palak has explained to you, right? How we have spoken about hacking, and their only reply to the hacking was that, doesn't matter, right? Or won't actually happen, right? So we understand that their policy fails on its face. Okay, that's out of the debate, right? Where else do we take this debate, right? The government has very conveniently chosen when to take an intuitive explanation of something and when not to. They tell us that intuitively it is easy to understand that if I'm in the Olympics or if I'm in the finals of the novice category in this debate, I'm bound to be nervous, right? Let's understand everyone's different. If I'm a confident person, whether it's the finals or not, I'm not going to be nervous. But there they choose to take that intuitively you would know that someone's nervous, so using this machine doesn't change the outcome. But on the other hand, where intuitively you're also supposed to understand that maybe everyone is very reserved with their feelings, that everyone thinks that, oh, I don't want to tell my friend what is troubling me because I don't want them to take my burden for me, right? There they say that no, people would in any case, people with even good intentions would actually want to know whether their friends are struggling or what makes them happy, right? So their contradiction in understanding is very clear, right? Now we talk to you about our various constructors and how we are better off, right? We talk about productivity, and again their rebuttal to that was it's not going to change anything. Let's understand that if I am it takes away from the art, it takes away from me winning something or performing in a particular field based on my merit, rather than actually instead of it takes away from that, and we actually start focusing on strategizing and leveraging the mindset of our opposition and trying to use that for us, right? Why do we understand that this is inherently not a nice thing? Principally, again, you're using something which is beyond the ambit of the competition or whatever. And number two, we understand that you're too interdependent on each other's feelings to actually go ahead and win something, right? This vicious cycle is never ending, right? Number one. Number two, we understand how things can be misunderstood, right? In a feeling, like during case prep, if Kashvi doesn't understand the point I'm trying to explain to her, in that moment I may feel really irritated or angry at her. But is that my actual feeling about her? No. But if at that point she wishes to check that, oh, how Raima's feeling, her understand will be, oh, Raima's pissed. So now that is what she keeps with herself, and her behavior, her action, and everything towards me changes based on that one momentary understanding of my emotions at that point, right? We also understand that their case is very idealistic in the sense that they think that friends and if a father has come home really unhappy, the family would want to be there, right? We understand that, but you also have to understand a point which we've been trying to drill home from the very beginning, the point of privacy. I would not maybe want to tell everyone in my life what is troubling me, right? They talk about how I'm going to give my ID to anyone who I want. If I had to give my ID to anyone I want, I would have gone and actually told them how I felt. The reason I don't go and tell them how I feel is the same reason why I would not give my ID to people for them to access my emotions, right? But even if we buy into that argument of people wanting to do this, we talk about the ill intentions, right? Hacking and all of that. But we talk about when even if people want to do it in good faith, if Palak is my best friend, right, and she's really troubled with something, I would expect that Palak should either she doesn't tell me about it, or if she tells me, that she should be the one who comes up and tells me that Rama, this is what's troubling me. If I even in good faith want to know what is troubling her, I am violating her privacy, and then inherently I'm also going to feel, oh, is Palak not a good enough friend of mine that she couldn't come and tell me what was actually troubling her, right? So we understand how that their main argument about building better relations falls flat there, right? That entire case has also been about mental health. Again, mental health is something that they are trying to leverage into, oh, everyone is struggling from negative emotions, so that they're all the stakeholders. Incorrect, right? We talk about how privacy is an umbrella that is applicable to everyone, whether you are suffering from mental health or not, right? We talk about only their point is they are only showing us the benefits, but the where this debate lies is weighing how the benefits for them, for the benefits are actually greater than the harm, or how changing status quo is going to be better off in their paradigm where they have failed. We show you how there are greater harms in their paradigm, right? And we tell you how implementing or using this machine is actually going to make the stakeholders in this debate worse off, right? We also tell you that they talk to us about how this machine is very accurate and absolute and objective, right? But they fail to understand precision, right? Accuracy, not accuracy of the machine, but accuracy of a human to understand what they're feeling, right? Because like I said, in momentary feelings are separate from actually what the feelings that you actually retain with yourself. And additionally, say like Palak explained in her example, that if say I am happy, you don't know the cause of my happiness. I could be happy because I'm participating in this debate, but I could also be happy because it's my birthday today. It could be anything. But somebody who wants to know my emotions, you don't really understand what is the cause of that emotion, right? So precision or misunderstanding is a huge loophole in their paradigm, which they have failed to sort of mechanize for us, right? And again, I can repeat it over and over again, but privacy is something that it's a non-negotiable, right? And privacy and feeling emotions you feel, with having the autonomy to tell people on your own what you're feeling, right? That is something that they feel, they really don't understand, right? We also understand privacy from two aspects. Again, strangers, anyone in the world can actually know what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, and make decisions based on that. Even my friends and family, if I had to tell somebody, I would, right? So status quo is something that is in our favor, and we tell you that the people in our paradigm are definitely better off, and even if not better off, at least not worse off, which is something which is very clear in their paradigm, right? We also understand that they talk about emotions being revealed to people and how that is actually going to benefit them, right? Again, throughout throughout the speeches from side opposition, we have proven to you how that does not stand, right? We understand that the only people they are impacting also are the people with mental health, and even if they want to throw that into bigger spectrum, it doesn't really affect everyone, right? So where this debate actually lies is the fact that who are the stakeholders you're affecting, what is the scale of impact, which is definitely greater on our paradigm, and whether, and actually first would be whether you're creating any impact at all, right? Even if they tell us they're creating any impact, they have to understand that the impact they're creating is actually negative, right? They understand that your emotions is freely accessible to anyone, even if you buy into their baseless framework of sharing your idea and things like that over and over again. We've proven to you how that doesn't stand. But even if it's accessible to say, oh, I want to give my ID to my friend, they can check into my life at any point, right? Number one, violation of privacy. They can check into my life and understand my emotions. You're trivializing the complexity of human emotions by boiling it down to a single number on a single scale, right? And number two, even if they do understand my emotion, right, they don't know the cause, so they can be assuming that, oh, I'm upset about a certain argument which could be very very minor in my life, while I could be really heartbroken about something else, or maybe unhappy on a similar scale but about something else, right? So we tell you on all fronts, considering all metrics of this debate, op is very proud to take this debate. Thank you.
Thank you for that great speech. Requesting the opposition reply to take the floor whenever they're ready. Here.
Right. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Now let's understand what the entire debate revolves around is the fact that there are a lot of people who tend to commit suicide because they do not want to share their emotions. Secondly, that relationships tend to get affected because people don't want to share. So our machine will solve both these issues. Coming to the first issue of people committing suicide and struggling with mental health issues. Understand that anyone struggling with mental health issue or suicide, firstly, you tend to get a certain hint before that person is about to commit suicide, because suicide is something you do after a prolonged period of depression or suffering, right? They are basing their argument on the assumption that you do not get to understand, you do not get any hint about that person's feelings. So it is understand to use this machine to say understand how that person is feeling. So how do you go about it? Do you then just randomly go about checking the ideas of whoever you have in their paradigm as to, oh, this person might be committing suicide? So do you just go on to do that every second because they haven't given you any hint? No one has given you any hints. You do not know who is likely to commit or who is likely to not commit suicide. So what do you do in this case? How will this work how will this suicide thing work is something that they have not characterized at all. Whether psychologists will use this, whether family members will go on checking, how will this happen, we do not know. Second case, relationships. We've already told you how in their paradigm implementing this to better relationships is actually not true, because there is a greater scope of misunderstanding, right? How is there misunderstanding? Because after having a fight, you might just want to go and say understand how that person is feeling, but you do not know that that person, what that person is feeling then is, say, because of the fight that has taken place, or maybe because of something that has happened earlier in that person's life, right? Because it is not absolutely true that people only feel a particular thing after, say, or an incident related to that thing has just occurred, right? You can derive your past feelings and again, say, go on thinking about a past incident and feel about it at that moment as well, right? So there is, so again, this point also does not, say, stand. Now, what we are proving to you is that in their paradigm, say, even if we consider their best case scenario where their machine is working for the people suffering from mental health or bettering relationships, what about the other other, say, majority of the people who say are not going through sad feelings, who say are feeling excited, happy, say joyous, or say any form of positive feeling, right? They do not want their feelings to be disclosed, right? So they are, so these the government has clearly not addressed that side of the world at all, right? So in their best case also, you are just, which they're actually not benefiting a certain section of people at the cost of the entire world, and the entire world is actually feeling like my privacy is violated. See, how is that fair on the part, how is that fair on those entire majority of people who are feeling that certain way, right? Which is why I tell you that status quo, as in how things exist now, is a much better way to go about it. They have not proved as to why status quo is absolutely bad for everyone, right? Because even they acknowledge this, that everyone in the world who is using the machine, or say everyone in the world who the machine is being used on, is a stakeholder. So how are all the stakeholders benefiting in this case is something that remains unsolved by the end of the debate. Coming to our major points, we've told you how this absolutely violates your privacy, right? How this actually leads you to, say, gives you a has a psychological impact, because you know that your emotional states are, say, constantly being monitored, right? So this could have a significant psychological impact on individuals. It might lead to, say, emotional suppression that can also affect your mental health, which is something they have not acknowledged. We tell you how this is going to affect productivity, because now your focus is on something completely different as opposed to your skill or art, right? And because now because, say, you have always focused on how your opponent is feeling and accordingly strategized what you want to do, you will, if you keep on doing this, you will get addicted to this, right? So again, productivity absolutely falls, because at no point you're relying on your actual skill, right? We've also told you about misuse, how this can be misused time and again, right? Misused by people who want to harm other people, right? Illegal use. Crime, we've also covered crime, and how someone can easily access this to, say make their to, say, attack someone in return, right? Understand that person's feelings so that they are in a better position to attack that person, which is why we feel we clearly take this debate and very proud to oppose.
Thank you for the fine speech. Requesting the last speaker of the room, the government reply whenever they're ready. Please take the floor. Here, here.
Sarah went as a DPM, now going as the reply speaker, starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, panel, understand they have been repeatedly pointing out on a model. Please clarify that even the PM itself was very clear on the model, because they have like name. They say that name can be used by everyone. Please understand there are thousand people of my name in this world, and even as referring to someone, the name cannot be used as this ID, and hence we are going with this ID. And now let's be very logical about this ID. A number of maybe 10 digits. How everyone in this world will know this number of my 10 digit, which is stated in this motion. There is this looks something like this Aadhaar card, which can only be with me or the people I have given to for some purpose in the life. Moving on to the second, moving on to the second motion that we have pushed about this privacy and misuse. They have been talking about this privacy and misuse and this pressure throughout, and we have mitigated and destroyed the whole case to the lot of extent. And I'll show you how. When they come and tell me about this pressure and emotional suppression, this comes during the yellow speech, and with less mention towards it in the yellow speech, and which due to which our BIP provides suitable rebuttal to it when he tells it that this emotional suppression These feelings cannot be changed. A person can, which is something which we have pushed upon on our all debate in the basis, and the feelings cannot be changed. Only how person represents them is something which can be changed, and hence they're likely the feelings would not change. I voluntarily cannot control my feelings. This was a huge basic flaw in that. Second case of misuse. The only idea they did not do, the only explanation to how this feeling can be misused can be has been come out in form of the examples, with examples which have been sufficiently rebutted from our side, because we have clearly stated that feelings not necessarily change our action. For example, the case of that girl on the street, if a robber is attacking us, even if I'm even if not feeling nervous, my intuition would be to attack him. Even if I'm feeling nervous, then also my intuition would be to attack him. I have to, the only way I would have to save is to attack him and run. This robber knowing my feeling would not change the fact that Robert knowing that feeling would not change or the person knowing the feeling would not change how I attack or I do not attack. It is just how the person responds to his own feelings. And that's something the robber cannot know. Moving on to the major points which we brought to upon us and which cannot be, which has been wrongly taken to some extent by the opposition. When we talk about mental health, please understand there are not only people with problem with mental health which we are talking about. We are general about talking about general mental health of a person. This is the mind state of the person. Is he happy? Is he sad? And we have given enough. Constructed part on our side where we have properly explained to you why the person being sad should share his information. And when they say that we have ignored the part of people in general of the world and we have constructed the people with mental health, please understand, panel, at one point of time of life, maybe not now, maybe tomorrow, I will feel sad, right? There would be things around me due to which I will feel sad, and due to which this thing is working for every person in this world and not only to the people who have mental health. We push this idea of sadness to the level of the people with mental health in society when we say that when this sadness have to be into a large degree for a prolonged time, and when we note this for the prolonged time, we do not directly go ahead and say this will lead us right. We this initiate a conversation that has been coming up. This feeling initiate a conversation which does not happen in the status quo. What this initiation of conversation looks like? This initiation of conversation look like two persons can come out and share what they feel. They can ask that why he was feeling sad. When this sharing a problem leads, there is likelihood of solution. There is likelihood of me calming the second person down, which on a long run could have gone to suicide. Okay, so we are not specifying our emotion that we will focus only on people's suicide. Even if someone is feeling sadness, we will intercept it there and then. Moving on to the last point of relationship, please understand we have clearly stated that when person I'm acting in this way and not taking out a conversation, there's likely a chance of me feeling somehow separate in that relationship. Rather than this, that even if feeling is out there, a chance of the conversation which will be started. This conversation with something. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for that great speech. With that, we come to the end of the debate. Now, the speakers can cross floors and shake hands. It was a great debate, guys. Thank you so much. The panelists can please share their verdict to me over DMs, either on WhatsApp or Discord.